now he's leaving.
All right. Okay, I call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome to the October 15th, 2020 Town of Riverhead Planning Board meeting. First item on our agenda today is a discussion item. Item 1 is expansion of a 7-Eleven at 1733 Old Country Road.
All right. Good afternoon, planning board members. This is just a very, very quick update on a project that we are working on. As the chairman stated, we have a site plan application which is proposing to construct a 985 square foot addition onto an existing 1,682 square foot building, which is presently used as a 7-Eleven convenience store located at 1733 Old Country Road in Riverhead. The approval of the application did require relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals as they were proposing the building within a required rear yard setback. The applicant did receive the necessary variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals by appeal number 2020-027 dated September 23rd, 2020. When this was before the planning board back in January, I believe, because it does fit the criteria for an administrative site plan approval, the board did agree that we would not require a public hearing on the application as they had already gone through the posting and publishing for the Zoning Board of Appeals. So this is just an update to inform the board that they have received their variance. We do have a administrative site plan approval resolution on for the board to consider at this time.
All right, I just have a couple questions.
Okay.
What's the purpose of the expansion? What do they need the room for?
They did provide a floor plan. It expanded beverage service. I think to keep it in, a lot of 7-Elevens are modernizing, larger coffee bars, more food service, like the hot containers with the hot dogs and that sort of thing. So they did provide a floor plan which shows details. There's no per se food service, there's no food fryers, there's none of that sort of pertinent, related equipment. So it appears as though it's just for the expansion of the convenience store. If Sean Walter is on, I believe maybe he could, if there's any questions, any clarification, he could probably answer that.
Mr. Bergman did a fine job. That's exactly what it is. It's a modernization of the store and to allow for additional retail, as the retail is really the largest financial, that provides the largest return on the investment for the store. So modernizing it and making it a little larger for food services is all they're doing. And they're not adding any wet uses or anything like that.
Okay, and the other question I have, the adjoining shopping center to the rear, didn't we have an issue with cross-access a number of years back where one or the other wouldn't grant it? I thought it was this property that we had an issue with.
I believe there
No, I think it was the
I
hotel.
can address that. The cross-access easements don't line up from the original, from the Sabre property to this property because the way the Sabre property was built and what was on this property at the time. So it wasn't something that could be opened up.
Who was that for? Was it for the?
Sabre.
Sabre,
Sabre.
right, but who? Aldi's. It was Aldi's?
Right. It goes back a long ways.
Well,
Yeah, there was something, I did, just reading back from my staff report. This subject parcel underwent a site plan review by the planning board in 2009 to convert the then existing mini mart into a 7-Eleven. There was a future cross-access agreement that was required. It looks like it was to establish future cross-access at the east and west. But again, based on the current configuration and the build-out with the Sabre access driveway, it didn't seem reasonable to build out at this time.
okay.
Huh.
I recalled the cross-access and we had discussed it at some point and I didn't know if it was relevant for this application.
There is a pedestrian cross-access. I believe it's in the southwest corner of that parcel. There's a little pedestrian walkway that goes from the 7-Eleven property to the, I believe it's Vitamin World. So So there is a pedestrian cross-access, but no vehicular cross-access.
Yeah, if I could address the board on that issue. I do frequent that location on several times a year. You'll see the natural path that people walk between the 7-Eleven and the adjacent shopping center. And it's farther to the east, I believe is the direction, than the vitamin shop. And Sean and I had talked about that some time ago. I don't think Sean has an objection for a pedestrian cross-access, because all they're doing right now is just trampling the vegetation anyway. But that is the path of where the people want to go, and they have been using it, because you can see the worn-out landscaping in that area.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
have.
honestly, I thought we had addressed this, and, what we had submitted was acceptable to everybody. Because I know we had a conversation last year about this.
Yep.
Or earlier, well, I guess it would have been last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I heard any real major objections.
No,
from the board, right?
again,
Just, I think it was just a
the only reason I
question.
brought it up is
I have a
because
question when you're done.
it stuck in my mind that we did have a conversation about it, but if it's been adequately addressed, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, there actually, it actually is a concrete walkway from the neighboring Vitamin World
Okay.
property. So we're good.
But that's not where the people are walking. People are walking right through here.
Joe?
Yeah, in your report last year, you mentioned the smart controller would be installed.
I
It's in your
believe
report,
I included.
on page 4.
All right, I'm looking at the resolution right now.
No, I'm not in the resolution, that's why I bring it up. Okay, probably item number 9 you can put it in.
All right, Sean, did you hear, the board agrees? Sean, I think we're looking at the resolution in condition number 9. We'll just add that an irrigation system with a smart controller shall be installed.
It's a $100 item, Sean.
No, I thought that was in there somewhere. Did you?
It's not in
you
the
wanna add
resolution,
that?
but it's in the report.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I thought it was actually in the final resolution somewhere, but you can add it, that's fine. Maybe it didn't come over from the report, Greg, but I thought.
Oh,
it
yeah, I did actually, yeah, in, condition number 18, prior to the signature of the Mylar, condition, actually should be condition number 1, I've gotta fix those numberings. Plans shall be revised to include a note that shall be irrigated with a smart irrigation controller
Yep.
in order to promote water conservation. So it is in there.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
All right.
Does it still need to be amended though, you said?
I just need to correct, it came up, the first Roman numeral was number 2, so I'm just gonna correct them to
Okay.
reflect 1, 2, 3, and
Okay.
4.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Nope. Okay. We'll vote on it later.
You folks need me any longer?
Nope.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have
Thank
a
you.
great afternoon.
Okay, next item, item 2, Peconic Community School. Greg, this is yours too?
Yes, sir. All right, so the planning department has received and reviewed a site plan application which is proposing a change of use to an existing 2,554 square foot building from a retail use to a school use. The site plan application does not currently propose any additional improvements to the site. The applicant has submitted a copy of a previously approved site plan, one which was prepared by Catherine Fee, registered architect, last dated February 1st, 2002. As the application does not currently propose any site improvements, the applicant has not provided an updated site plan. With regards to SECRA, the proposed action is a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, as it involves construction or expansion of an accessory, non-residential structure involving less than 4,000 square feet, and does not involve a change of use or zoning variance. A change of zone or use variance. No further environmental review is required for this project. The project site, particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-85-3-67, is a 19.8 acre parcel of land located on the south side of Main Road in Aquabog, approximately 700 feet east of the intersection of Main Road and Shade Tree Lane. Subject parcel extends to the south approximately 3,300 feet and abuts Hubbard Avenue at its southern property boundary. parcel is presently improved with a 2,554 square foot, single-story wood frame structure, which was issued a certificate of occupancy for its current configuration on January 5th, 2005. There are also a number of commercial greenhouse structures located further to the south, as well as gravel farm roadways throughout the property. The existing building is set back approximately 42 feet from Main Road, and the property is located within the Rural Corridor Zoning District, which permits schools as an as-of-right use. Currently, the site is accessed via a gravel driveway from Main Road. During a site visit conducted, I did note that there was a chain which was stretched across the driveway. I do note that this chain would create access issues during an emergency situation, and as such, any approvals granted by the board should include a condition that this chain will be removed. In terms of the approval history of the current building, the current site layout was approved back when the town board had control over site plan approval. The approval was by Town Board Resolution number 451, dated May 1st, 2001. That site plan approval permitted the construction of a 1,024 square foot addition to the existing building for use as a retail garden center, along with related parking and sanitary system improvements. As far as parking requirements, the approved 2001 site plan required a total of 13 on-site parking stalls. That was for a retail use. Retail is a much higher parking intensity requirement. As far as for a school use, the town's parking schedule requires 1 parking stall per classroom. As such, the 13 stalls on site are well in excess of the required 2 parking stalls, as they are proposing a 2-room schoolhouse. I do note that the entire parking area is currently gravel, and there are no handicap accessible stalls provided. Staff would recommend that the applicant submit a plan identifying the appropriate area to provide handicapped accessible parking stalls, as well as a handicapped accessible ramp. Any handicapped accessible areas must be paved in a manner which complies with town code requirements and must meet the size requirements for parking stalls. Staff does have some concerns about traffic circulation and safety. That while the proposed schoolhouse building is located on the northern portion of the subject property, there is still an active agricultural commercial operation which takes place on the remainder of the parcel to the south. This would present significant concern in terms of commercial, trucks, agricultural vehicles entering the site from Main Road, and potential for a dangerous situation. The applicant must demonstrate how the school use of the property would be segregated from the commercial agricultural operation, and to ensure safety of any students, children, teachers that are, going to their cars on the site. We do note that there is access to the rear portion of the site. If you look at figure 5 on page 4 of my staff report, there is a neighboring parcel which has a gravel right-of-way, which extends to the west. It actually meets up with Shade Tree Lane, so the applicant the commercial agricultural operation could use that Shade Tree Lane access to gain access to the commercial operation in the back.
To the same owner?
Yes, it is. There is an outdoor area on the site. There's kind of an outdoor, pea gravel area located to the south of the building, which would likely be used for recreation, recess purposes. I do note that the area is raised approximately 2 feet above grade from the surrounding area, and it abuts the parking and traffic circulation area. Staff would recommend that this area should be enclosed with some type of fencing, one to protect kids from running out into the parking lot or from inadvertently, falling off the ledge and injuring themselves.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
do we know what kind of school this is? It only has 2 rooms. Just curious what we...
I think I would defer that question to Mr. Cuddy, representing the applicant.
You go through your...
Yeah,
Um,
it's,
I do
Go
know.
ahead.
I'll get through my report and then we'll answer the questions from the board. Site plan does not include any dumpster enclosure currently. Staff would recommend that the applicant provide an area for a dumpster enclosure. I do note that the creation of a refuse enclosure would not require site plan approval pursuant to Town Code Section 245-8. That would waive the requirement for site plan approval, provided that the enclosure meets all the requirements of the Architectural Review Board, namely that it's screened with vegetation or a 6-foot-high stockade fence. There was only one light fixture that I noticed on site when I did a site visit, and this was a non-compliant floodlight fixture which was mounted on the roof of the building, which can be seen in Figure 8. There was an amortization period as far as commercial exterior lighting, all pursuant to Town Code Section 301-258, A3F as in Frank. All exterior commercial lighting fixtures were to be brought into compliance with the exterior lighting code by December 21st, 2017. The existing non-compliant fixture must be removed and replaced with a dark sky compliant fixture. The staff would also recommend that the applicant consider providing additional lighting in the parking lot. As it gets darker out in the winter months, you don't want to have a dark parking lot where there's going to be kids and parents going out through the traffic circulation area. There are concerns with the existing sanitary system. The applicant will need to get Suffolk County Department of Health Services approval for the change of use, as it will result in a change of sanitary flow. As I understand, the applicant is working with the health department. I believe they are close to getting an approval for that. And one thing that's unclear, as Mr. Denseski said, is that it's unclear of what type of school this is or what type of approvals they'll need from any sort of agencies, State Department of Education, Office of Child and Family Services, etc. So the applicant must identify the need for any of these additional approvals and must provide copies of the approvals prior to the issuance of a building permit. Referral to the Suffolk County Planning Commission is not required. And that's what I've got.
Okay, so we'll ask Mr. Cuddy to address Ed's question first.
Okay, let me just say a few things. Catherine Casey Quigley is on this too. She is the director and co-founder of the school, so she can answer your questions precisely more than I can about the nature of the school. But we thought we had responded to a number of the concerns that were raised by Mr. Bergman. For instance, the chain is not going to be an obstacle to getting in or out, be taken down. It'll be on the ground. The back of the site lends itself to Mr. Verteber's using that and not using the front of the site with his trucks. We're ready to do whatever is necessary for the parking and for the handicap. And I think we voiced this before, and I understand he's reading his existing staff report. But everything that needs to be done in connection with compliance, we're prepared to do, and we have done, we think. We also, and Tom Wolpert is here, as well as Doug Adams, to let you know that the health department is basically satisfied with what we have, and we have an application before them, and Tom can just let you know what the status is of that application, but we expect to have approval shortly from them. And then I'll let Catherine Quigley also talk, but Tom, could you just give them an update?
He's muted.
I think you're muted. Same side there. This case, he's on there.
Okay, yep, okay, we're good?
Yes.
Okay, we did initiate a conversation dialogue with the Suffolk County Health Department Office of Wastewater Management a couple of weeks ago. We have, as Mr. Cuddy indicated, filed an application for a change in use of an existing building. At the pre-submission stage, the health department identified a list of items that they wanted us to file in order to satisfy them that they could issue an approval for the proposed change in use of the existing building. And as Mr. Cuddy also indicated, we are very close to receiving that approval from the health department. I would say probably sometime next week. Bottom line is the existing septic tank and leaching pool is adequate for the proposed change in use. And one of the requirements was that I prepare a certification of the existing system. And so in order to do that, we pumped the septic tank down so that it was dry, and we also exposed the leaching pool so that I could take measurements. And that structure was also dry, indicating to me that it is functioning properly. Previous to this, I had prepared an engineering report that basically said that the existing system, as shown on the site plan by Catherine Fee, would be adequate for the Office of Wastewater Management, and that in fact has proved to be true. So I think we're days away from receiving the Health Department approval, and I have no concerns about the adequacy of the sanitary system to accommodate this use.
So Tom, you'd be able to certify that on this plan that we're looking at?
I'm sorry, is that Jeff speaking?
No, it's Stan. You would be able to certify that on the plan that's in front of us, that the septic is adequate?
Well, the Health Department has a standard certification form that that we use to satisfy the Health Department. So if the Planning Department...
No, they asked you to do that?
Yes.
Okay, that's
and-
fine. That's fine
and-
then.
And I've done that, so, but if you want a copy of that, I have no problem with that.
Thank you.
Stan, I'm just trying to get a little more information about the school itself. What kind of school is it? It's only a two-room schoolhouse, so I'm trying to get a little more information about the actual school. If somebody up there could help us out.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Casey Quigley. As Mr. Cuddy said, I'm the co-founder and co-director of Peconic Community School. And we are an early childhood, so 3- and 4-year-old through 7th grade independent school. And it is actually it will be a satellite location for the school that we've put in place due to COVID and social distancing needs, as well as some growth that the school has experienced as a result of COVID. We have an existing facility that's located at our Redeemer Lutheran Church and is essentially right next door to that. So we have a total of about 100 students, but there are approximately 30 students that would be at this additional site, and our younger students. And just to reiterate some of what Mr. Cuddy said, we're fortunate enough to receive the staff report and have addressed the majority, if not all, of the items that were listed. The chain is down. Fencing has been put up around where Greg mentioned that the sort of high area there. So we did place fencing all around that area. We have a written confirmation from the owner that they will not use that entrance, the main school entrance, for their usage or their business at all. And as far as permission from the Office of Children and Family Services or any other entity, we are not licensed by the Office of Children and Family Services. We're licensed, and it's actually called chartered. We're not a charter school, but it's referred to as chartered by the New York State Department of Education. And in order to operate as an independent school, we had to file for this charter, and every time that we make any type of change to our school facility, we file an amendment. But as per the rules of the New York State Department of Education, it's after we have the C of O, we send that, and then we're issued a new charter by the Department of Education. So the process is the process is the reverse of what's indicated in the report. So we would require approval and a C of O to get our new charter from the State Department of Education. So all of our information indicates that this is the next step as far as that's concerned.
So we're prepared to put in writing anything that will satisfy the board, because we don't think that there are any problems at this site, and we'd like to be able to go ahead and make use of it. So I'm hoping that by writing whatever Mr. Murphy and Mr. Bergman would like, that we can then get a resolution from the board as soon as we have the health department approval.
One of the questions that I have, Charlie, is the flow of traffic through the area. How would it be mixed up with the commercial end of it in any way?
I don't see that as a large problem because there are not that many students that are coming in. I go by that way quite often. I come to work and go home that way, and I also go there during the middle of the day. I don't see it as a big traffic situation.
Yeah, and if I might just add, the property is owned by John Verteber, who runs the garden center that is just to the east of this property. And there's a large entrance there, and that's where the majority of their traffic, their commercial traffic, all of that enters via that site. And as I think Mr. Bergman mentioned as well, there's a Shade Tree Lane entrance that any additional traffic can travel on that as well, which we don't use unless we need it for busing purposes. So that entrance that would be for the school is just for us.
The site actually has, where the garden center is, it actually has two driveway access areas, one in, one out.
Yes.
Okay, so, you don't feel that there's any way then it can be, violated, we'll say, by someone getting lost in the site that's shopping? I'm just concerned about, young children running around outside and, someone doesn't know where they're going and, that could turn into something we don't really wanna talk about, but.
I would say, the garden center, that's the building that we're proposing to use is the former garden center. And it's about a quarter of a mile down from the new garden center. So that has a very large in and out entrance. So that's, and it's pretty clear and big and much bigger than their previous one. So I think that's pretty clear that anybody who was going shopping would not pull into this facility. In addition, we hope to, once we receive the approvals, to put up signage, which I think would help, as well as cone markers to ensure that anybody coming up the driveway, recognizes that they're coming into a different.
Yeah, I certainly agree signage would help. Okay.
Is it a for-profit or a non-profit organization?
We're a non-for-profit.
Greg?
Yes.
I was looking at, to start with, your figure 1, which shows the entire property aerial, and it's marked out. And then I look at the site plan, and I can't see any of that stuff that's on the rear of the property. So I'd like to be able to see that, and I see the site plan was done in 2002. And it doesn't really show the entire property or the things that are on it. I think that's something that we really need to see to bring this thing up to date.
So
And then you'd be able to see where the entrances, where the side entrances are for the, as mentioned, for the garden center, the entrance to Shade Tree Lane, that's not shown on here either. And I would really like to see some sort of a site plan showing all that.
So I know as far as records that are maintained by the building and planning department, we do not have that. I don't know if the applicant has a current survey of the property.
Well, maybe
I think that's a
So
question.
I think the point that Joe's making is that, we're approving a change of use of the property, but it's not being reflected on the site plan that's in front of us. And, if there's a change of use in the property, we should see on a site plan what's going on in that whole parcel as one, even though it's 2 uses on that one parcel, and it should be on file. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes. Another silly thing that we often require on a site plan is a key map, showing where it is. It's not there. This is a 20-year-old site plan, and I think it needs to be updated.
We can add to the site plan to show things that you're looking for.
What?
He said he could add it.
Yeah.
I said we can add to the
I
site.
don't know if you could do it to the existing site plan, but if you can, fine. Might have to add another piece that just shows the property that's being surveyed. And what's going on in the back of the property. All we're seeing here is the school. And the change of use for the building.
It sounds like the applicant is ready. They can demonstrate that.
Fine.
We can get that.
So, question I have, is the property serviced by public water right now?
Yes.
Separate service to this building?
I believe so. I know it is within the water district. I know there is water service to it.
To the building, I know it's
The
in
building. I don't, you know, as far as the agricultural use, I'm sure that's
Do they
on
know?
wells, but.
There's a separate water service for the building.
Okay, did we get any comments from the fire marshal? Being that it's gonna be occupied by school children, it's gonna be required to be sprinkled? Because you noted that no changes to the building would be needed, but that's a question that I have.
We have not received comments yet. Something like that would typically be handled through the building department, and they will require fire marshal permits for the change of use. If that's something that's identified, they will need to comply with that.
Okay, well, that's fine, but it was just mentioned early on that no changes to the building, and if they need to put in a sprinkler system, there's gonna be changes to the building.
I don't know if Doug or Tom are familiar, do you know if any fire suppression systems will be required for the change of use? I mean, I know that's more of a building code thing, but.
We usually have fire marshal comments, so that's why I'm asking.
I don't know, that's more of a, question for an architect.
I can answer that. The architect did indicate that we would need a fire alarm system. Sprinklers are not required by code, but a new system is, and we are working to get that in place. And our understanding was that that was not part of the requirements for a site plan application, but as Mr. Bergman said, the building permit. So we have been awaiting, we did call the fire marshal, and the fire marshal said that they needed to wait to hear from the building department before they move forward with us. So, but we are working on ensuring that we have that in place.
So you can check with the fire
Yes.
marshal? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so we have a few issues to,
So next up,
minor issues.
we'll have the applicant prepare the map showing the entirety of the parcel, everything Mr. Bay would wanna see. If they can get that to us in a reasonable time, hopefully we can get it back before the next planning board meeting, and hopefully the issue will be addressed.
okay,
All right? All right,
thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Peconic Ironworks.
I think Tom and Doug, are you guys here for this one as well?
I think, I am, I don't know that Tom needs to be here, Tom, if you don't wanna be here.
And do we have anybody else from this application present?
I don't see anybody else here. The applicant, Tom, and, Tom Bergman is not present, I guess.
All right. All right, so the planning department has received and reviewed a site plan application seeking approval to construct a new 1,410 square foot modular office building, as well as perform lighting, landscaping, parking, and drainage improvements at the site of an existing industrial use. Proposed action is a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, as it involves construction or expansion of a non-residential structure involving less than 4,000 square feet of area. No further environmental review is required. Project site is 168 Cromer Avenue in Riverhead. Project site is a 2.335 acre parcel of land located on the east side of Cromer, approximately 615 feet south of the intersection of Cromer and Old Country Road. And the site is located within the Industrial A zoning use district. The site is presently improved with a 6,847 square foot industrial building along the Cromer Avenue, as well as a large unpaved outdoor storage area located to the east of the existing industrial building. During a site visit conducted by planning staff, the modular office building had already been placed on site and appears to have electrical connections run to it. It is noted that there were no building permits or electrical permits that were issued for this building, and it's unlikely that it currently meets any requisite building, electrical, or fire codes, as it appears to be placed on steel I-beams as a temporary foundation. Upon reviewing historical satellite photography, the building appears to have been brought to the site somewhere between May 31st of this year and September 14th of this year. In terms of conformity with zoning, approval of the site plan application will require relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals for the proposed non-conforming side yard combined yard setback. The minimum side yard combined yard setback in Industrial A is 50-foot individual with 100-foot combined. In its current configuration, the site plan proposes to place the modular office 45.4 feet from the southern boundary and proposes a combined side yard setback of 71.4 feet. Now, I do note that this may change. I'm gonna jump a little bit in the report. We did get comments from the building department that the design professional of record needs to demonstrate compliance with building code of New York State and shall be required for building anchorage and foundation, the location on lot and fire separation distance between structures, ADA concerns regarding accessibility issues, requirements for the proposed business occupancy will need to be provided, any requirements pertaining to separate occupancies will need to be provided, and adequate plumbing fixtures will need to be provided. Now that is somewhat significant in the review of the application, in that any sort of required building, fire separation distances between the main metal building and the office would need to meet fire codes. Now, the location of that building will impact the variances that they are required. I'm confident to say that they still will need relief, but the location of the building will need to comply with fire.
It's gonna rain at some point.
Is the building occupied now?
When I was there, I didn't see anybody in it, but I mean, I did see that there was an electrical connection run to it, so I would think that they're probably utilizing it right now.
So with so many things out of compliance, and even, you know, the fire code and the electrical, no inspections, I mean, why did the town issue them a violation?
I don't believe a violation has been issued yet. I'll have to check with the building department. I did inform them that the building was there. I don't know if a violation has been issued yet.
Do you know if it's occupied, Doug?
My understanding in talking to Tom Bergman is that they were not occupying it.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Am I coming through? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are, I just didn't.
Yeah, I talked to Tom last week, just a little backstory. We talked about doing this modular unit as it's shown on the site plan, and while it was being reviewed, he came across this at a job site that was offered to him, so it was a good deal, so he bought it. I didn't think he put it right in place where, you know, approximately where we're gonna be placing it once we have an approval to do so, but he did that. And I said to him, you know, you can't occupy this, and he said, we're not occupying. Of course, I didn't go over there and see that electric is hooked up to it and stuff like that, but he claims he's not occupying it. You know, I don't know, I didn't go check. If you guys wanna go check, you certainly, it's, you know, the town's prerogative to do that. But I don't believe he's using it. I think he knows that he shouldn't be using it, so.
All right, thank you.
Just continuing on with the conformity with zoning, it is noted the site plan does currently identify existing outdoor storage areas, one of 13,276 square feet and one of 6,875 square feet, for a total of 20,151 square feet of outdoor storage. Town code does permit outdoor storage as an accessory use, however, it limits it to 30% of the parcel area or 2 acres, whichever is less. Based on that 30%, the maximum outdoor storage area permitted would be 30,519 square feet. If you look at the figure 4 on the aerial image, it appears effectively that the entire area, with excepting for, you know, some traffic circulation area, I mean, they've got material stored out there. They are involved with steel manufacturing, so they've got a lot of steel members out there. One of the recommendations that I have is that if they're gonna be required to go to the zoning board for side yard setbacks, I think it would be beneficial to the applicant to just identify that entire outdoor storage area. It is pre-existing, but I would recommend that they call that whole outdoor area consider that outdoor storage, screen it from the right-of-way, and then we don't have to deal with little enforcement issues. I mean, the site's currently used as an industrial use. I mean, you really can't see that outdoor storage area from the road, so just in terms of streamlining the application and making it easier to move forward, I would recommend that they calculate that whole outdoor area as storage, and we can include that in the zoning board of appeals denial. As far as landscaping, there is a requirement in section 301-115 of the town code that states within the industrial A districts, properties shall provide attractively landscaped contiguous open space areas equal to at least 15% of the lot area. The current plan that's before the planning board does identify a contiguous landscaped area of 18.4%. This is accomplished by creating a 10-foot wide landscaped buffer along the northern, eastern, and southern property boundaries, as well as providing additional landscaping along the Cromer Avenue right-of-way. The landscaping plan proposes 72 eastern red cedars, 150 compact inkberries, as well as a wildflower mix. Now, based on the current use of the site and the fact that it is neighbored on both the north and the south side by similar industrial uses, on the eastern side, it shares its property with the Riverhead Raceway. Staff questions whether a substantial landscaping plan in this area is appropriate. I do recognize that the code requires it, but based on the use of the site, I did include figures 5 through 7 of my staff report. There are some existing trees and some existing vegetation along those northern, eastern, and southern property boundaries. To me, it would just seem counterintuitive to remove that.
It's actually not Riverhead Raceway, there's a Long Island,
The LIPA,
lighting.
the LIPA right away.
right away between, so there's nothing, no impact there either.
Just like, to me, it just seems like it would be counterintuitive to remove existing landscaping to supplement it with a couple of eastern red cedars that would really only serve to screen them from neighboring, similar industrial uses. Staff would recommend that they provide a more substantial landscaping plan along the Cromer Avenue right-of-way in any areas that are visible from a town right-of-way, as opposed to providing that in the back, which would likely just never be maintained and would probably die. I would recommend that they revise the plan to show increased landscaping, and again, if it does not meet the 15% contiguous landscaped, we can include that in their denial letter and let the zoning board of appeals weigh in on that variance.
I think that's a good point. It's probably not necessary, all that landscaping on the sides and back, but make the front look nice.
Yeah, that way, from the public right-of-way, for the town, for the purposes of landscaping, that's why we want it. So if the board's agreeable to that, we can have the applicant revise the plans, beef up the landscaping on Cromer Avenue. Once we get those plans, we'll send them to the zoning board, and they can get whatever relief they require from them. The site plan does currently propose 3 new LED wall packs on the office building. All proposed fixtures do comply with the height requirements and color temperature requirements. There is also a note on the plan that states that all existing outdoor lighting fixtures shall be modified for dark sky compliance. Fixtures shall be shielded on the tops and side and directed straight down. Prior to site plan approval, staff recommends that the applicant's design professional provide an assessment rather than just a generic note, and provide clarification on whether or not these fixtures can be retrofitted. In the event that they can't, they need to propose compliant dark sky lighting fixtures. The site plan proposes a total of 31 parking stalls, including 2 handicap accessible stalls with accessible aisle. The existing manufacturing building requires a total of 18 stalls, and the office would require a total of 8. For whatever reason, the applicant has included the outdoor storage areas in their parking requirements. I'm not sure that this is necessary, as the outdoor storage is accessory to their use, and storing steel members doesn't create an additional need for parking. Regardless, it still complies with the town code requirements. It is located within Suffolk County Groundwater Management Zone 3, which permits 300 gallons per day per acre of sanitary flow. The proposed sanitary calculations do appear to comply with the density requirements of the Groundwater Management Zone 3. They are proposing to tie into the existing sanitary system. They will need Suffolk County Department of Health Services approval for that. The application may be subject to Water District key money fees. The site plan should be amended per the board's recommendations to change any landscaped areas, and then those plans will be referred to the Water District to see if there would be any increase in key water money fee assessments. A permit will be required from the Riverhead Highway Department for any work within the Cromer Avenue right-of-way. We did get some comments from the town engineer, clarifications on the amount of altered area, comments regarding drainage, leaching fields, and then there was a note that the applicant had an outstanding balance of approximately $3,690 with the town for stormwater pollution prevention services, which were rendered during 2009, 2010. The engineering department did send a collection letter from 2013 requesting that payment. It is recommended that this fee is received by the town prior to any further site plan approvals or review by the engineering department. While this is really an issue with the engineering department, the planning board should consider it, and I would consider making that a condition of approval if granted. A title report is required, as right now the applicant did not submit a title report. Submission of a clean title report will be required prior to any approvals being granted, as we need to confirm that there are no restrictive covenants or easements. We did not refer the site plan to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, as it was not required pursuant to the County Administrative Code. The applicant, while they have not provided any architectural elevations of the modular office, a referral to the Architectural Review Board may include photographs of the modular office building. I'm not sure that they're proposing any changes to the building, so the ARB can weigh in on that. I do note that the modular office building and the existing manufacturing building differ very much in their aesthetic qualities. I don't know if the board has any recommendations or if they'd like to see any sort of changes or improvements, but they are just kind of contrasting. It is just kind of popping a modular office building down on site. I don't know if the board had any issues with that.
I don't necessarily, I mean, it's an industrial building with an office trailer. I've seen it, it's $100,000 trailer, it's not some piece of junk.
All right. So really pending satisfaction of any building department requirements, fire code, those things need to be comprehensively looked at. As I said, that will impact building setbacks. So it seems like that work needs to really be done first prior to them amending the site plan application, revise the application regarding landscaping, and then we send them to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Did the planning board have any additional recommendations, questions, requirements?
No, I agree with you that the landscaping in front should be increased and decreased in the back.
So maybe just for the record, I just want to point out that although this application is moving through the process, this board does not endorse the continued occupancy if it is in fact happening, because there are a lot of issues. They may be easily resolved, but nonetheless, fire setbacks, electrical, septic, plumbing code, all the things listed by the building department. So if it is occupied, Doug, I would strongly suggest that you advise them not to occupy it, because we are not endorsing occupancy in any way, shape, or form by moving this application forward at this time.
Get that, Doug?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my turn to talk. I got a list of stuff I was gonna give you guys, try to set your mind at ease on some of these things, but I wanted Greg to finish.
But you got what I said, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Were there any additional concerns, any additional questions? No. So we'll have the applicant clarify the issues, fix the landscaping, fix any fire and building code, and then we'll go to the zoning board for relief.
Did Doug want to say anything else?
Yeah, do you guys mind? Just give me a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, first and foremost, Stan, I will talk to them, about that, about whether or not they're occupying and that they shouldn't be doing that. Short of being an attorney or something, I can only advise that, but I will strenuously, suggest that they don't do that. Regarding the Architecture Review Board, Rob Stromsky will be handling, any concerns that the building department has. I note in the comments, in the letter generated by Greg, that it looks like just items 2 and 3 would normally be handled on a site plan. The other stuff is, plumbing fixtures, building anchorage and foundation. That's all stuff that I think is done at the building permit. But 2 and 3 would speak to, and Rob is aware that we have to figure out what the separation of the building has to be. So we're going to work that out. I think we already have it worked out, but he can talk to the building department on that. He will also handle anything with the ARB as far as whether he uses pictures or, proposes some modification to either of the existing buildings that are there, or this mod that they were trying to get approved. Greg, I understand about the outdoor storage increase, we just go with the variance. I don't think we need to do all that you propose, because we do need maneuvering area, but I appreciate what you're saying there, as well as with the landscaping. We'll dog up the front a little bit more and take away a little less from the side yard, since they are other industrial uses that, you know, we could lower the water consumption, for example, for the irrigation and stuff like that.
Doug, do you know if the front of that yard is irrigated?
I'm sorry?
Do you know if the front yard has irrigation currently?
I actually don't. I definitely do not know that for a fact. He's got some, you know, there's a couple trees up there. It actually looks pretty green for this during the summer and everything, but, I do not know. It's got public water. Whether he did something or does something on his own with, you know, manually, I'm not sure, but I'll find that out for you. We will amend the plan. I guess Vinnie had some comments about the amount of disturbance, probably to analyze whether we need SWIP or not, so we'll amend the plan to clearly indicate the disturbance area. The site lighting assessment you talked about, Greg, that note has become sort of standard for us. I think the answer to whether a fixture can become dark sky compliant is every fixture can be made to be dark sky compliant. We leave the note on the plan like that in case we have it approved that way, and then we're modifying the light and it just doesn't, it falls apart or it doesn't like the way it looks, to be able to change if it's something that is, we have a schedule on the plan for, just as allows a little more flexibility. But I don't think we need to assess whether or not the fixtures that are there can be adapted, because they can. But, you know, I guess I'll wait for the next round of comments, you know, once we get this back in. I believe the note is fine the way it is. It's been, you know, approved like that many times. But the intent, like I said, is that, you know, it'll be made to be dark sky compliant, and if, you know, he gets a good deal on lights, he may say, well, I like these new lights, I want to make them all those lights. And it would, you know, we include them in the lighting schedule and in the lumens analysis. So if they would be to replace, it would be replaced in kind as far as lumens or wattage. Well, it's not wattage, but it's lumens or candle power. So I guess we'll address that when it comes to it. The less parking as well, we'll maybe take out the storage, the outdoor storage component of the parking. That will decrease how many stalls we need to show. He certainly doesn't need them. It's not like it's an outdoor storage where he's providing it for somebody else. It's for his stuff, and his stuff actually happens to be very big, so it just takes up a lot of space. So the engineering comments we have no problem with. The SWIP fee, my guess is that there was a previously approved site plan that required a SWIP, and there was that $3,500 escrow money that's put up, I think was used up somewhat to do the review of that site plan. That site plan has been, I think it's been not sure the legal term or who the lawyer was when they did it before, but I think it's been, you know, sort of taken back, and that may be that letter that went out was to restore that escrow up to the $3,500, I think, or somewhere around there. My guess is if there's money in there, it's likely going to be refunded to the applicant anyway, but we'll straighten it out. I don't believe this one's going to require a SWIP. And then I'll tell him about the retitle report. I don't know that he has an attorney retained yet, so, you know, it may be a time to get one, especially since he's got to go get a variance anyway. But we'll amend all that stuff. I think it sounds like it's stuff that we can easily address.
Just to piggyback onto what Doug said, there was a previous site plan which proposed like a 10,000 square foot warehouse addition. This was around back in 2009. Again, I don't know if, you know, that's really an engineering department. I'll get some clarification on them. If the SWIP never went through, I mean, we can clarify that.
Yeah, we'll look into it, Greg, because it's a letter that he got. So he should follow up with it and find out what it's for, and then they'll figure out that it's for a site plan that's no longer being pursued, and they'll work it out.
All right.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Okay, that's it, guys?
Yep, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, no public hearings. Any public comment on the resolutions? Anyone who's waiting, want to talk about resolutions before we bring them up? Okay, I do have one question. The Purple Beach resolution,
Yes, sir.
68. That is just to approve the 4-lot as-of-right yield map, correct, and not the subdivision?
Correct, so we have two resolutions on, resolution number 68 and number 69. The number 68 approves the as-of-right 4-lot
Okay.
development yield, and then number 69 approves an increased density through the application of transfer of development.
I was just concerned with the as-of-right portion.
Yes, but
Okay.
this is not, this is just yield, this is not sketch or any sort of preliminary plat, this is just
Okay.
yield approval.
Another question on that. It's got the 8 lots, okay? Now, the 9th, they're gonna come in eventually with 9, is that correct?
Correct, so and this
Take care
is-
of the housing.
Correct, so this is similar to the villas at Roanoke,
Right.
where we approve an as-of-right yield of 4 lots. The applicant then proposes through the mechanisms within the town code to apply for transfer of development rights to increase the density, so they get to a development yield of 8 lots through the purchase of TDRs. In order to comply with the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, now they can either, at that point, they can go one of two ways. They can either elect to get the 10% density bonus as afforded by the Long Island Workforce Housing Act with the condition that that additional density bonus be reserved as affordable housing as defined by the Workforce Housing Act, or they can elect to remove a lot. They would still need to purchase 4 TDRs, and then they would have to voluntarily reduce their yield to 7.
Okay, my question is, going to 9 lots, do they need another TDR?
No, that extra density, that's afforded solely by the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. That does not require the purchase of an additional TDR.
Okay.
Yes, we've been through that, and I think that's the status of this.
Okay.
It's just an example of where, one of these rules can impact another set of rules. The TDR was designed to preserve farmland, this is designed to enhance affordable housing, and the two weren't.
So they're doing both?
They're doing both. If they could choose, we don't know what they'll choose at this point. They could conceivably choose to do 7 lots and lose the one that they bought.
Okay, so resolutions.
I'll move resolution number 68, to approve the 4-lot as-of-right yield map.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve resolution 68, Purple Beach Realty, for the 4-lot as-of-right yield map. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution's approved.
I'll move resolution 69 to approve the 8-lot transfer of development rights yield map to increase the development potential. So moved.
Second motion?
Motion made and seconded to approve resolution 69, Purple Beach TDRs. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution's approved.
I'll move resolution number 70 for the 7-Eleven convenience store expansion. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve resolution 70, administrative approval, for 7-Eleven, 1733 Old Country Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution's approved.
Just to clarify, as amended, I will correct the numbering on those conditions.
Right. 71.
I'll move resolution number 71 for the Vistas at Bating Hollow site plan amendment. So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve resolution 71, Vistas at Bating Hollow amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Yes.
One opposed?
I'm opposed because I never received the resolution.
Okay, so it's, George, you were a yes, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Ed was a yes, I'm a yes, so 3-1. Resolution's approved. Okay, that's the end of the resolutions. Anyone from the public have any comments? Any public comment? Okay. At this time, I would like to ask to go into executive session for a brief moment. I'd like to discuss some personnel matters within the planning department. So I make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, executive session, thank you.
Does he know that in the back?
I will.